Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Mantis MMA, guys. I am back with another video, guys. Hope you guys had a happy and safe new year. I am finally back. I took a couple weeks off towards the end of the year just to regroup and focus and really plan out where I want my channel to go. Guys, it has been an absolute incredible 2025, and I'm really looking forward to this year to really grow my channel and make a ton of content for you guys and videos for you guys. So with that being said, please like and subscribe. That really helps me out a lot. It keeps me motivated. I love to see the growth. I love to see you guys support me. And also, if you can, turn on your push notifications, because why the hell not? But anyways, you guys see the title of the video. I'm going to be predicting every UFC champion by the end of 2026 because it's the start of the year. Why the heck not? Listen, let's get right into it, right? For flyweight, you're going to see 3 contenders, all right? And that'll be a common theme throughout this video. There'll be a couple contenders, and then I'll predict the champion. We have Kyoji Horiguchi, Joshua Van, and Manel Kape. Now, I know it looks crazy to see Joshua Van as a contender, but I do not think he is going to finish here as the champion. And it also may be crazy to not see Alejandro Pantoja in contenders. Why? Because he's injured. Now, that's, a bit of an asterisk, only because I don't really know how injured he is, even though I literally just saw a clip of him hard sparring like maybe 2 days ago. So maybe he'll be back in the summer, maybe he'll be back in the fall, and if he does come back, that obviously shakes things up in the 125-pound division. However, these are my 3 contenders. I think Kyoji Horiguchi is he really contender? And that's the thing. He's been around. This is the guy who has fought Demetrius Johnson. And I don't think the casual MMA fans know that. But this is the guy who's been around and has experience and is now making a very solid run and can push for a top 3, maybe even a title fight this year. Do I think he wins the belt? No. But do I think he can possibly get maybe even a shot depending on, who gets injured or who loses? Absolutely. We move on to Joshua Van, and let's be honest, he didn't beat Pantoja. But can he beat Pantoja? Does he have the ability to? Yes. I picked him to win that fight. I thought he was going to go into that fight and actually not knock out Pantoja, but hurt Pantoja enough to the point where he could maybe win 3 rounds and become the new champion, which he did. Not in the way that I thought. But I did pick Joshua in that fight, and I mean, he's young, and what they say is champions get better, right? And currently he is the champion, so I'm looking forward to seeing his improvements as a champion. But do I think he finishes the year as champion? No. And then we move on to Manel Kape, and Manel Kape is a very interesting prospect, and I guess at this point he's not a prospect, but he just seems to really have flip the switch, right? I mean, he's knocking dudes out in the first round. He's fast, he's explosive. And when you combine fast and explosiveness and power in the 125-pound division, you go places. But I do not think any of these guys will beat who I think is going to be champion at the end of 2026. And I think the flyweight champion of the world in 2026 will be Tatsuro Taira. Now, you guys see here, we do have Alejandro Pantoja in the bottom left corner of the screen. That's because if he does come back, which I don't know if he will, I think he beats everyone, right? I did pick him to lose to Joshua Van, but I think if he comes back, he'll be motivated, and I think he will beat a Joshua Van. I think he beats a Manel Kape. I think he beats a Tatsuro Taira. If he doesn't come back, right, I have Tatsuro Taira beating all those guys. I think he's long, he's rangy, he's durable. He has that one loss, but I think he's so good on the ground that if he gets any of those contenders I said on the ground, he subs them. Kyoji Horiguchi might be a little tricky to sub on the ground, but I think Tatsuro Taira is only getting better, and I think his stand-up is also only getting better. He's young, he's hungry, and I think by the end of 2026, he will finish here as champion, maybe with a win over Joshua Van, subbing him late first round. That is my prediction. But moving up in divisions, we do have bantamweight. Now, bantamweight is tricky. It's really tricky because we just saw Piotr put on one of the most beautiful masterclass performances we've ever seen in our entire lives. Not only just in the 135-pound division, but in MMA history. I mean, what he did to Merab in their second fight was nothing short of spectacular. And for that reason, I don't really have anyone beating him. Ness, I just spoiled it. I just see Piotr finishing the year as champion once again. I can see him getting a rematch against Sean O'Malley, and I could see that rematch being in another war between those two. I do see a world where Sean O'Malley beats Song Yadong, maybe beats a Merab, right? And then faces Piotr, depending on, where the UFC wants to go with the Sean O'Malley win, right? But I think this version of Piotr is the best 135er we've ever seen in our entire lives. I think he beats any 135er ever, maybe past or present, and I don't see anyone beating him for the whole year. I mean, I think Piotr will hold this belt as long as he wants to. I don't think he gets knocked out. I don't think he gets out-grappled. I don't think he gets outstruck. I don't think he gets outpointed by anyone in this division. However, I will say the best person that has a chance, in my opinion, is Umar, but I don't see how Umar beats Piotr when he can't even beat Merab. Granted, right? Umar did have a very good fight against Merab, but I think Piotr is on another level, and I think him beating Merab as dominantly as he did will give him that confidence to hold the belt for as long as he wants. So I have Piotr finishing the year as champion. I have maybe a title defense or two. We'll see. But Piotr to me is the best 135er ever, and I don't see anyone beating him at 135. So moving up, we do have the 145-pound division. Now, 145 it's kind of weird right now. I mean, fighters that should be getting title shots aren't getting title shots, and Volk is a little bit older, but he's has the belt again, and Ilya didn't really lose the belt, so 145 is a little weird. But these are my contenders. I mean, Lerone Murphy, undefeated, right? I mean, we know what Lerone Murphy can do. He has that incredible spinning KO over Pitbull, which I literally jumped out my seat when that happened. But Lerone Murphy is damn good, and in my opinion, he deserves a shot next, but clearly he's not getting it. We have Diego Lopez, and yes, I have Diego Lopez here in the contenders because I do not think he beats Alexander Volkanovski in their second fight. I really don't. I mean, does he have a puncher's chance? Yes, but MMA math doesn't necessarily work like that. I think if Diego Lopez makes some incredible adjustments, he can knock out Volkanovski. Like, we saw him drop Volkanovski in the first fight, but I think Volkanovski is aware of that power now and aware of the speed that Diego Lopez brings, and I think Volkanovski will also make his adjustments, and I think he'll put on another masterclass against Diego Lopez. And then we have Kevin Vallejos, who, up-and-comer, but hits like a truck. I think he can legitimately one-shot knock out his way to the top 5. And once he does and he gets better and more confident, we can see him in a title picture. Maybe not at the end of the year, but maybe somewhere early 2027. That's how good he is. But guys, with that being said, there is one fighter who I have not put here who is a contender, who has been a contender in the 145-pound division for like 3 years, it seems like, and that is Movsar Evloev. Now, I do have him as champion at the end of 2026, and you guys will see. Let me move Volk down a little bit. My bad, Volk. I do have Volk in the bottom left corner for a reason. Let me just say this: if there is a world where Diego Lopez knocks out Alexander Volkanovski, he's going to retire. I know there was talks of him not retiring if he loses, but if it's like a brutal knockout and he's on the ground for 25 minutes, he's retiring. I mean, he's not coming back. If that doesn't happen, I think he beats Diego Lopez, but I think he loses to Movsar Evloev and then retires, right? I think Movsar Evloev is a very, very stylistically bad matchup for Volkanovski. Yes, Volkanovski is a better striker, a better counter striker. He's the double champion. He has the experience, right? But I think Movsar's chain wrestling is going to give Volk problems, and I think there's a world where Movsar can literally hold him against the fence or do enough damage on the ground to win 2-3 rounds and pick up a very close split decision. And I do see Movsar having the belt at the end of 2026, whether Volk loses Diego Lopez or not. I do think Movsar beats either Diego Lopez or Volkanovski, and I think he beats Volkanovski at the end of 2026, and we go into 2027 having Movsar as our champion, undefeated, cementing his legacy because he's going to just climb, considering he's undefeated, has all these great wins, and I think he does beat Volkanovski. So I'm very excited to see that fight. So moving up in divisions, we do have a very, very interesting and a very exciting division. We do have the lightweight division, and these are my contenders. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We do have Paddy Pimblett fighting Justin Gaethje at UFC 324 in about 3 weeks. So we'll see, right? But I do have Paddy winning that fight, but I don't think it really matters. Only because we do have a guy like Max Holloway who might challenge for the belt this year. Charles Oliveira might make a sneaky run. I know Charles Oliveira got knocked up at Ilya, and I know the whole world does not want to see Charles versus Ilya too. I don't want to see that as a Charles Oliveira fan. Like, I literally said a whole prayer. I made a clip on TikTok. I prayed, right? I don't want to see that. However, I do think he can make a sneaky run. Paddy Pimblett, I think he might challenge for the belt. He is actually probably going to hold the belt because I do have him beating Justin Gaethje and becoming, I don't know if it's interim. I don't know if they're going to strip Ilya. I'm not too sure. But I do have him becoming champion and beating Justin Gaethje at UFC 324. I'm actually going to make a video about that. I'm actually going to make a whole video predicting Paddy Pimblett to become a champion. It should be coming out maybe either Tuesday and Wednesday. But anyway. And I do have Max Holloway making a run for the title as well. However, I do not think they beat any of these two guys. And these two men are Arman Tsarukyan. And as you can see in bottom left corner, Ilia Topuria. Now, Ilia Topuria is obviously out. If you follow the UFC, you know Ilia Topuria won't be fighting for a long time, and that might be a year. I mean, they might strip him, and he might come back to the end of the year. We do not know. But in the meantime, I think Arman Tsarukyan will grab the belt and hold on to the belt as long as Ilia Topuria comes back. Now, if Ilia Topuria comes back and they fight, I do have Ilia Topuria winning that fight, but I'm not banking on that Ilia Topuria will be back by the end of 2026. I'm not banking on that he'll be back in a training camp by, let's say, October in time to fight Arman in December. I'm not banking on that. So I do have Arman Tsarukyan beating any of those guys, whether it's Patty, Max, or Charles, or even maybe Gaethje, who knows? And I do have him going into 2027 as the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. But moving on to the 170-pound division, guys, I'm so excited to talk about this division because this division is absolutely on fire. As you can see, I have 4 contenders here. 4 contenders, because it really could be 6 if we're being very honest, but I really try to narrow it down to 4 people: Ian Garry, Michael Morales, Carlos Pratas, and Shavkat. Now, I have a lot to say, so stick with me. Ooh, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know. I picked one guy, and it makes sense to me that he'll be champion by the end of 2026. But realistically, any 4 of these guys, the way the welterweight division has been so flip-flop since Usman got obliterated in the head, who knows? All it takes is one shot. Who knows? Who knows? All it takes is the right matchup. I mean, I thought Sean Brady can make a push, and we see what happened with Sean Brady. Ian Garry is really, really good. We need to stop disrespecting Ian Garry. And I think the MMA world and the UFC community is really recognizing how good Ian Garry is and how much of a problem he can be really for any welterweight on the planet, right? The only thing that Ian Garry doesn't have that these other 3 guys have is that punching power. And I don't even think a guy like Shavkat has that one-shot knockout power, or really Michael Morales, but he's such a big dude in Michael Morales. Good, and he has such good anti-grappling. So I don't know. This division is so tricky. And then you have a guy like Carlos Pratas who has that one-shot power, who could just one-shot KO his way to a championship fight, and then anything can happen there. But at the end of the day, guys, and even a guy like Shavkat, I mean, I have Shavkat as a contender only because he hasn't fought in like 2 years. If Shavkat was active and he was out here dominating people like we know him to do, I would have him in the next slot. But because he hasn't fought in so long, I can't just automatically say, oh, first fight back, he obliterates, let's say, an Ian Garry again, or Carlos Pratas, and then he beats an Islam. I can't just say that. So with that being said, I do have Islam Makhachev finishing 2026 as the welterweight champion. Islam's biggest threat is Shavkat, but I have to see Shavkat come back and fight someone first. I even think a guy like Michael Morales can give Shavkat or Islam Makhachev problems, or even a guy like Ian Garry can give someone like Islam Makhachev problems. But I think at the end of the day, Islam Makhachev is one of the best, if not a top 3, 4, 5 fighter we have ever seen, and I think it really comes down to who can give him the biggest threat on the feet. Some of those guys can, but I think the wrestling negates absolutely all of that, and we do see Islam Makhachev as the welterweight champion of the world going into 2027. I don't think anyone is going to beat him. I think some guys might get close. I think welterweight will be a little bit tricky for him. I don't think he'll dominate like he did in lightweight, and I don't think he'll dominate guys like he did JDM. I think guys will give him problems on the feet and maybe even on the ground, right? A guy like Shavkat, a guy like Ian Garry who's hard to get taken down, a guy like Michael Morales who's hard to take down, a guy like Carlos Pratas who hits like a truck. But at the end of the day, I think Islam Makhachev is that good, and I think he's going to reign over the welterweight division, just like he did the lightweight division. But guys, moving up, we do have the middleweight division, and this division sucks. Let's just be honest. Like right now, there's not really much going on. I mean, compared to welterweight, I had 4 contenders here. I have 2, but really I could just put 1. I mean, even light heavyweight is really not like all that exciting. But I do have Fluffy and Nasruddin as contenders to potentially be middleweight champions of the world. And guys, I wanted to put Israel Adesanya here so bad. Like, you guys have no idea. Like, I'm biased. I'm an Izzy fan. I wanted to put him here so bad. But, no, you know, fine, right? I mean, clearly he got knocked out by Nasruddin. I understand, all right? You know, you don't have to fry me in the comments. But these are really the 2 only contenders that I have maybe pushing for a belt by the end of the year. Fluffy has a better chance than Nasruddin, in my opinion, because of that grappling against Hamza, and I think he can pose a threat. Nasruddin just gets ragdolled by Hamza, in my opinion, and I think Nasruddin honestly has good grappling. Like, don't get me wrong, Nasruddin's grappling, like, is damn good, but it's not on the level of Hamza. I think Fluffy may have the only chain wrestling and the only type of submission threat that Hamza has to maybe challenge him. But at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. Khamzat Chimaev will finish the year as champion going into 2027. And I think he'll do it pretty dominantly. Those guys that I mentioned, Fluffy and Nasruddin, are good, but Khamzat's on another level. I mean, what he did to DDP, granted, DDP is not good at all. Like, trust me, DDP is actually really bad. But what he did to DDP, he made it look easy, and I think if he wanted to finish that fight in the second round, first round, he really could have. And I think he'll come into this year like really trying to dominate and prove a point. Like, hey, listen, not only can I out grapple you, I might even outstrike you. And I think you will see some knockouts out of Khamzat, you know, whoever he faces. So I don't really see anyone challenging Khamzat at middleweight, and he might even go up to light heavyweight and challenge some guys up there, depending on how dominant his victories are in 2026. But we'll see, you know. So with that being said, we're moving up to light heavyweight, another dead division in my opinion. The only contender in this division, and yes, there's the Carlos Ulbergs of the world, but no. The only contender in this division is Magomed Ankalaev. I think that first fight, Pereira was hurt. Let's just call a spade a spade. Pereira was hurt. And he didn't look bad in that fight. I mean, Pereira looked bad, but he held his own, right? And Magomed Ankalaev went in there and did what he had to do to become the champion. And then obviously we know what happened. In the second fight, Pereira said, yeah, nah, okay, right. Walked forward, knocked him out in like 10 seconds, became the two-time light heavyweight champion of the world. Now, with that being said, Alex Pereira, in my opinion, has kind of done everything he needs to do at light heavyweight. And for that reason, yes, I'm a little biased. I do have Yuri Prochazka beating Magomed Ankalaev in a championship fight to become the two-time UFC light heavyweight champion and have the belt by 2026 because I feel like Alex Pereira is moving up. I do. I don't know if that's a bold prediction. I don't know if that's going to happen. Probably it's going to happen at the White House. I'm seeing some rumblings of Pereira versus John Jones at the White House. But we'll see. I do have him moving up, which means I do have Yuri Prochazka beating Magomed Ankalaev. Am I a little biased because I love Yuri? Yes, I think everyone loves Yuri, right? But I think Yuri is in that mindset where he sees things and he's flowing, and when he's in that range where nothing can hit him and he has head movement, he's throwing kicks, and he's, you know, in those wild exchanges, I think he might overwhelm Magomed, and I think he'll literally find a knockout against Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev is very technical, you know, he's very 1-2, you know, hands up, right? Yuri's crazy. He'll throw some crazy shit, and I think Magomed might get caught with it. As a result, I do have Yuri Prochazka becoming the UFC light heavyweight champion, two-time light heavyweight champion of the world, and I think it would just be a beautiful thing to see it. Granted, that's only because I think Alex is moving up. Now, if Alex stays in the division, do I think Yuri beats him for a third time or beats him in a trilogy? No, I don't. I think Pereira will honestly knock out Yuri for a third time, which would just be so tragic. So tragic. It'll be like a Volk Max type of thing. But if Alex moves up, I can definitely see a world where Yuri Prochazka is the champion by the end of 2026. And speaking of Alex Pereira, we move up to heavyweight. Now, guys, heavyweight is tricky because Tom's the champion, but, you know, John Jones exists and Pereira exists, and then Sirgon's supposed to keep up an eye, and it's weird. Heavyweight's weird, and heavyweight's been kind of weird for the past couple years. But in my opinion, I mean, these are the clear three contenders. We might take Alex Pereira out because, like I said, I don't know if he's going up to heavyweight. But I mean, if John Jones comes back, who does he fight? I mean, does he fight Pereira for a vacant belt because is Tom injured still, and then Sirgon just got the shot, but he didn't really lose? It's tricky. It's tricky. I think, you know, and I made a clip about this. I was like, I feel like the Paramount Plus era is about, you know, the most exciting fights, not necessarily ranking. So, you know, the UFC might just be like, fuck it, let's just strip Tom Aspinall or make Pereira John Jones interim, and then they face the winner, then fuck Sirgon. I can totally see a world that happens. But as a result, I do have Tom Aspinall still retaining his belt against all three of those guys. I don't think Tom Aspinall loses to any of those guys realistically. I think he beats John Jones, who's been active, who's damn near like 48 at this point. I think he beats a Pereira, and he honestly gets a sub on him in about 2 rounds. And I think he was going to beat Sirgon. I think in a rematch he'll beat Sirgon. But guys, those are my champion predictions by the end of 2026. Guys, please like and subscribe. You guys are absolutely awesome. I have another video, guys, coming out for you guys maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see. I also want to stream on Wednesday. I also have some edits coming out for you guys. Guys, listen, I am so locked in this year. I'm really gonna make my dreams happen. You guys are absolutely amazing. So I will see you guys very soon.